Last year, I played the coolest game about an arm saving the world that I've ever seen. After seeing my tacky review of the experience, a kind viewer suggested I play another game by the same developer, saying they deserved more attention for their works. I then spent several months not doing that. So, in order to make it up to them, I decided I was going to instead play every game by said developer. At first I thought, hey, it's only 5, so it's not like this absolves me of my failure, but at least I shall begin my road to atonement. Well, guess what? It's just 5 games on Steam. This guy refuses to stop posting for game jams and other indie contests. Over 40 games. 40! But I said I was gonna do it, so here we go. From the game jam and experimental games to big Steam titles, all of Miziziziz's games. What the? Coasterometer, what are you doing here? Well, yeah, I'm reviewing things, but they're not roller coasters. Oh, come on, man. You know it's not like that. Alright, fine. Just go stand over there. Alright. Here we go. Okay, so I tried to play their much older games on Congregate and GameJolt, but they're mostly built on the now defunct Unity web player, so I can't play them. Sorry. Time travel, string theory, and Mario jumping. Worlds collide to create a surprisingly deep, cerebral puzzle platformer. You are the survivor of a third world war, and are tasked with using the World Machine, a device capable of dragging 2 possible universes into one to reshape the past and fix the future. It's really neat having the movement feel like you're moving 2 entire worlds instead of yourself, and makes for some very interesting visual puzzling. From simple jump pads to blocks that reset you, to teleportation blocks that alter the timeline in conjunction with the reset blocks, there's quite a few new tricks here and there to keep the game interesting. I'm definitely not smart enough for this kind of game, but the music is just so damn inspiring. It's hard to put it down even if you fail, over and over and over and over and over again. It really makes you feel like we're trying to save the world. Like, what you're doing matters. One of the most unsettling non-horror games I've played in a while. Tolem's Singing Catacombs is an old-school RPG dungeon crawler, but with a unique design concept. It's entirely playable by sound. By closing your eyes and using a system of echolocation, you can measure your distance from walls, enemies, and objects by listening to the phonetic feedback, with varying sounds based on if it's something you can interact with or a threat. Your heartbeat crashes in your ears at all times, beating strongest when facing north to help guide you through the small, but thanks to the lack of eyesight, maze-like dungeons. The sound design for ambiance alone is really engaging. The echo of your footfalls haunting your progress, airy wind in your ear to let you know a corridor is to your left or right, and occasional environmental sounds like trickling water, moving stone doors, or a simple but appropriate puzzle with a series of chiming bells where you need to step on the buttons in the right order to activate. Even your inventory is entirely sound capable, with a calm voice of the developer in your ears to let you know what part of your backpack or skill tree you're selecting and upgrading. A somewhat silly respite before returning to the pitch-black, unintentional nightmare. It's a short game and simplistic, but like most of these, it's also free, so anyone interested in doing some adventuring with their ears should go give it a try. A tiny, experimental game where you platform in zero gravity to get through the wreckage of a spacecraft. You can grab onto and launch yourself from the debris, or shoot your gun to create reverse momentum to correct your bad jumps and prevent yourself from falling into the endless void. Not much else to say, honestly. Just a cute little experience. A pitch-black maze with only small white squares at corners and the sound of alarm buttons to guide you through. The pitter-patter of some nightmarish beast driving you to run for your goddamn life. The only way to know it's even there, beyond the footsteps and grumbling, is seeing its shape blot out one of the light squares, a horrifying sight for when you don't know if turning back will lead you down an open hallway or into a dead end. A little warning, when you get caught, it plays one of the loudest and most painful death sound effects I've ever heard, so even with the simple graphics, this game is not for the squeamish. I've been reborn as a rectangle with a gun. Nothing but sparse trees and snowy wasteland outside my cabin. Family's hungry. Gotta find more food. My trusty sidekick and I set out to find that herd of deer we saw. It's cold. I hate it here. I'm not sure why I decided to shoot at the wolves. Might be a waste of ammo and time I should be using to get food. Woofy is gone, but he can still help feed my family. Wolves got them all. I'm the only one left. I'm so cold. I'm gonna hunt down every last one of those bastards. No reason to hold on to the bullets anymore. Nothing left but white. Endless white. Well, this is it. Deer gone. Wolves haven't seen for days. Guess I'll just... Oh. A musician steals an experimental ship and uses it to traverse the stars, bringing inspiring grooves to the victims of an oppressive space communist empire. Essentially, Superhot meets those little mazes you find on the back of a Denny's kids menu. Very cute. And the music by Ronald Jenkins absolutely bangs while you slowly worm your way through a hail of death and destruction. A short top-down dungeon crawler with candle zombies, 2 boss fights, and a room full of treasure to collect. It's reminiscent of old Flash games that were all about how fast one could spam the keys to swing your sword and smash things, but there's also a cute little dodge roll to add a little Dark Souls flair on top. Good music is a staple for this developer and doesn't seem to miss here either. A bullet hell platformer that he made in 1 hour. Impressive. I couldn't get it to start. Okay, at this point I'm just going to focus on the ones I can get to start. A cute, friendly art style above ground snaps instantly to a surprise horror game when you enter an abandoned underground base. Sudden darkness and intense ambiance replace the bright visuals and music, and build to absolute nightmare fuel as you are forced to escape from a giant alien spider that hunts you by sound. Each footstep echoes like Zeus's dummy-thick thunderclaps, so you have to wait for the generator to run before screaming like a child and gunning it to the next room. I found out also that you can accidentally go back through the doors, and it resets each puzzle, so that managed to extend my torment, but beyond that, it is a delightful rush of adrenaline and a tasty twist of theme. A genuinely hilarious point-and-click puzzle game where you, a smiling jack-o'-lantern, have to find a way to get rid of gross, cat-calling frat bro monsters in order to hit up your crush. Each one has their own trick to figure out based on the available party favors and guests, which makes for some fun trial and error to fend off their slimy advances. Definitely an entertaining couple minutes with some bouncy tunes to carry you through. A precious little pixel art witch uses the power of their magic wand and the other witches blasting your ass away to launch yourself through a short platforming challenge in order to earn your coveted witch's hat. Once you have it, you can jump even higher and get to the top of the map, which has the credits. Pretty impressive it was made in just 3 hours. An incredible concept built up to make a delicious and challenging puzzle shooter. You are a psychic spy sent by a grand empire to rescue the princess. With your telepathic powers, you mind control guns and fling them about a series of levels, trying to get the drop on your opponents who kill you in one hit. Really fun seeing how the different weapons each have their strengths and weaknesses, depending on the situation. My favorite being a sniper rifle that shoots through walls, but betrays your position to other snipers. There's a sick satisfaction to haunting the enemies with the guns of their fallen comrades. There is a story of conspiracy and intrigue hidden in computer logs throughout that give a small but fun purpose to your actions, but the great gameplay design is very much enough to keep you playing through to the end, regardless of whether you're paying attention. They also added an expansion level that completely rewrites some of your expectations by putting you on a hoverbike, forcing you to dodge attacks while also firing guns from a moving train, and a finale that gives you one more fun surprise mechanic before the end. I grew up playing Doom on a Windows 95 PC, and Thine Shooteth really felt like a fully-fledged mod or clone. Smooth handling, great old-school visuals, and a fun cast of weapons to choose from. A shotgun crossbow, a bundle of magic wands as a machine gun, a fireball spell to mimic a rocket launcher, and a mace to handle those moments when you hear a click instead of a bang. And through it all, blood-pumping metal blasting in the background while you slay every monster in sight. I wish they'd been able to make it a longer experience with more levels and weapons, but out of all the experimental titles that they put out, Miziziziz really kicked so much ass with this boomer shooter. A gross body horror puzzle game about an irradiated colony trying to escape space pirates with flamethrowers. The trick, though, is that only one of the colonists has a mouth with which to eat that delicious turkey dinners left scattered throughout the station. So, you have to pull them by a shared umbilical cord like a little meal bag, while you press buttons and sneak past the rightfully terrified fire-wielding troopers. Really interesting idea, and I hope I never have to do anything quite so gross ever again. Two bodies, one mind, the ultimate mercenary. I've seen quite a few games that try to do the one controller, two bodies trick, and it's very hard to pull off. And by that I mean I'm bad enough with just one character. This one gives a couple of neat tricks, like affecting your movement speed by your proximity to each other, encouraging you to split them up and spray from different angles while strafing away from danger. You do have to worry about friendly fire though, so don't shoot yourself in the back with a shotgun or a rocket launcher. Most of the enemies are mindless beasts chasing straight at you, but missile drones give an interesting challenge, needing to be aware of where both soldiers are running so as not to send lefty into the blast zone meant for righty. Pretty cool. I have seen a million Snake clones since the first time I played it on my aunt's old Nokia phone. Never have I seen one that added a story, a fun retro pixel art aesthetic, and varied levels, using the time-tested basics to give you challenging missions. You are a great serpent in the forest, given a tribute of sacrificial sheep to feast on by the nearby villages. One day, your peaceful alliance is threatened by a horde of orcs come to raid the people keeping you fed. Little do these invaders know the wrath of the longest wiggly boy in existence. Very cool. Something I'll definitely come back to. Phasmophobia could not have trained me for this. You have to scream into the microphone to be able to see in this horror game, and to keep the monster from being able to sneaky snack up and stab the hell out of your butt. Genuinely stressful feeling your lungs collapsing, knowing you're almost to the gate with a key, but also almost out of breath, and soon that beautiful statue is going to be breathing down your neck. I can hear your fucking footsteps, you freak. A very, very small test of the developer's skills coding with Pico. This demo has one really cool thing, though, that made me stick around for more than a minute. The animation of the player character. A small, unnamed protagonist hunting and being hunted by ghosts, but with some slick and bouncy pixel art animation to give him a lot of personality while he slays spirits with his trusty boomerang. Simple, but sometimes simple things just work. A bullet hell literally in hell. Demons are wreaking havoc, so you, a robot with an electrified coil of death, are tasked with destroying the Hell Maw, a portal to let the fiery evils into other realms. Heaven seems a strange place to be outsourcing jobs to AI, but I guess I didn't really know the extent of capitalism's reach. It's really cool how you're forced to dodge enemies' attacks while also using your momentum and movement to bounce the end of your electric wire off a wall, creating a deadly lasso to circle and eventually explode the hellspawn within your circle of doom. The most fun demon wrangling simulator I've ever played. Have you ever played Galaga and thought, but what if I could get whiplash? I have never played a game where you're encouraged to bounce off the borders of each level, dodging asteroids at light speed, killing anything you see so quickly that you barely register the level began or ended. It's a rush, honestly. This game has a few enemy types to keep things spicy, like rammers that just fly straight towards you, and police cruisers that leave a trail of mines to trip you up. And there's also 2 boss fights. One I barely knew happened, it was over so fast, and the other a gigantic starship that still took under a minute to beat, but at least I got to marvel at its size for a bit before it was over. A fun, albeit extremely short game. A really silly Twitch chat controlled platformer that will drive you insane and ruin your friendships. By typing into the Twitch chat L or R and a number between 1 and 10, you can choose what direction to jump and how hard, which can lead to some absolutely chaotic moments of flinging your body into spikes or all the way back to the beginning of a level. But it does feel so good to get the groove down and slam your way through perfectly. Another bullet hell, but this time with the power of spelling. Wordman must defeat the evil Dr. Letters, who's trying to destroy the world with his letters, obviously. You must simultaneously dodge the letter blocks while also creating words from the literal literary projectiles, thus destroying them and dealing damage to the evil Scrabble mastermind? I don't know. It's very short, but with many of the text-based games out there, a very fun way to spice up a classic concept. Short time turns burn away as you maneuver yourself out of range of enemy attacks, or time your strikes before anyone can make a move. Launching barrages of bullets and rockets into enemy crowds while you slip just under their own missiles, laughing as they blow themselves up. Robot Tactics was really cool once you start to grasp the basics of its strategy, using your turn to force the enemy to make mistakes that you can then capitalize on, making them hurt. It also has a simple but very useful RPG system where after every level you earn points to upgrade your health, damage, unlock new weapons, and increase your movement range, which is unbelievably important given how much you'll be strafing around your enemies. Definitely recommend for anyone who likes fast-paced strategy. A unique concept that, if focused on, could have made for a really interesting game mechanic. In this time attack racing game, you play with a controller, using the left stick to turn your aero car to face the center of the track, moving faster the more in line you are. To give an added boost to feeling how centered you really are, the controller vibrates from top to bottom, letting you know which direction you're slipping towards at any moment so you can course correct. There's only 4 small tracks and nothing much else to it, but it is a fun idea that more racing games could implement that kind of physicality into the player's experience. A pacifist's Hotline Miami. When bad guy Bill steals your GF, ghost friend, you're forced to go on a non-violent rampage through a building full of very much not pacifists, wielding knives, bats, and guns, while you are equipped with nothing but flashbangs and your floppy little feet. Running for your life and the unlife of your GF, you breach room after room, timing your sprints through each stairwell and hallway with the movements and temporary blindness of each enemy guard. An entertaining, if extremely difficult, take on the one-hit combat formula. A fascinating little title that feels like it builds towards what would eventually become Endoparasitic itself. You are wheelchair-bound in an irradiated hospital, looking for a way out beyond the mutated remains of your fellow patients. Getting too close will quickly kill you, so you're forced to wheel yourself through the hallways as efficiently as possible while avoiding contact. The control scheme is a huge part of this horror title's tension, using the left click to roll yourself forward and backward, and the right click to turn yourself by either wheel. It makes for some horrifying moments where the glowing ghouls inch closer as you try to skirt around edges and bump into tables and corners. There's a series of notes lining your escape, hinting at the age-old nuclear conflict of the United States and Russia, making this feel like it could be a side story to the Fallout games. There's one simple but mechanically interesting puzzle with a computer, where you're forced to type commands to balance the system power in order to clear the way to the next room. I always enjoy games that make me feel like a 2-bit hacker. It's great. Overall, a fun, tense experience with a very unique movement style. And a bullshit jump scare, 'cause of course there is. A surprising continuation of the world from Theyest Thou, originally going to be named Thouest Thee, this game is an incredible exploration in how to handle an RPG system. In Rot Flesh, you play as a Frankenstein's monster-esque assassin for a cult sent to an alien planet to hunt down another of your kind. A variety of weapons await you to help you murder your way across the desert, jungle, and Arctic landscapes, as well as power-ups provided by, you guessed it, harvesting the organs of your fallen enemies. Isn't it obvious? Rather than collecting armor and magical trinkets, you spend the vast majority of your inventory management in this game ripping open your ribs to stuff yourself with as many intestines, lungs, hearts, and blobs of fat as any reasonable person could contain, and then some. It's really fun how each organ has a different purpose, and how you have to Tetris them into your chest cavity to be able to fit as many as you can, trading them out for stronger and stronger variants as the game progresses to keep up with the absolute insanity of enemy types that they throw at you. Story isn't quite the main element here, but it does give purpose to the trail of bodies you leave in your wake. There are simple conversations to be had with a plethora of NPCs. Some give you odd jobs like clearing out a camp of bandits or collecting their crops, a venture into the jungle, or, well, let's just say one or two of them have more than an eye for a sewn-together muscle mommy. But most are simple exposition dumps to give you lore and context about the world around you. The ending is somewhat of a cheese fest, trying to survive the final boss, but everything leading up to it comes together in a genuinely fun and well-crafted experience. Best Repo the Genetic Opera game I've ever played. Yep. Balance the stick. Except you have to fight the wind, rocks thrown by some asshole off screen, and your own childish instinct to try and get that 60-second high score. Because everything has to be a competition, and I want to win! I just want to win! Just like 235 and Endoparasitic, Neural Rot takes the idea of a unique control mechanic and makes that the forefront of its gameplay, but still manages to squeeze out so much charm, so much fun, and a few delicious new tricks. Like Endoparasitic, some mutating nightmare has infected you, and you're on a mission to stop it. Instead of one arm pulling yourself around, however, you're made to use the left and right movement keys to individually move your legs back and forth, waddling like a penguin through an abandoned building looking for a cure for your disease. Armed with a pistol, and later a shotgun and SMG, you wage a one-man battle against the infested minions of the Rot, named so by your only companion in this darkness, a scientist, infected and on the brink just like you. While doing battle, though, you'll find the newest fun experiment in the reloading. Every reload is a QuickTime event, inputted with the arrow keys to direct a robotic arm to manually handle each physical action. All three guns have a unique reload sequence, making you build up the muscle memory to quickly swap mags and get back into the action. It makes every bullet feel like you're that much closer to death, or to a Dance Dance Revolution high score. The visuals are a big step up from Endoparasitic as well, with beautiful colors, delicious sound design, a fully drawn series of conversation panels with a scientist, and one of my favorite aesthetic choices, eerily beautiful and calming music that plays when the infested see you, as if the Rot knows you're close and wants to draw you into its warm embrace and show you its vision for the world. The story ends with the dreaded to be continued, just as Endoparasitic did, but the short action horror romp would be well worth the wait should they decide to keep at it. Such a cool showpiece for this developer's catalog, and a clear example of their style and quality. And finally, back to the one-armed champion that started this all. A big part of what inspired me to do this video was a sizable update for Endoparasitic that came out after my original run. A brand new game mode, expanding from the story campaign to a procedurally generated roguelike called Endemic mode. Yes, reduced to but one arm, barely hanging on after a lengthy and stressful adventure, and now forced to struggle through whatever chaos and insanity a roll of the dice can bring. And what beautiful chaos it is. You begin each run with a pistol and a pocket of extra rounds, but from there on, every playthrough is procedurally generated, giving different maps, different enemy positions, and different upgrades. There's a new currency system encouraging you to kill enemies for money, which you can then spend on a store of upgrades found in each map. Simple necessities like bonus health, unlocking the stronger weapons, but also crazy new choices, like a chance to not use ammo when shooting the pistol, making it so much more efficient and effective than before. Thorns sprouting from your body to retaliate against damage taken, making sure those pesky rats don't get a second chance to bite. And one of my personal favorites, a burning hand that lights enemies on fire, saving ammo in exchange for a lengthy cooldown that can be shortened with further upgrades. However, balanced against each of these delightful buffs is a series of horrifying enemy upgrades. After every level, you have to choose between 3 different upgrades for one of the enemies. Rats react to you and pounce faster. Enemies do more damage. Zombies can be partially invisible, explode on death. Or, everything you kill has a chance to spawn a pod that can release a new enemy when broken. Hooray! And at the end of every 3rd level, a boss fight. They went so far as to add a bunch of new boss types, each with a unique fighting arena and combat style, really putting your dexterity to the test between dodging attacks, crawling for your life, and returning fire to ensure you can make it to the next zone. As far as roguelikes go, this one is fantastic, using classic mechanics like a shop and upgrades layered on top of this game's masochistic control scheme to create a beautiful and awful new experience. I died so many times trying to get my reflexes back from last year, but once I had the movement and gun controls down, it felt so good to slip back into that sweet, sweet, painful gameplay I knew and loved. And so we come to a close, having run and gunned and puzzled and flirted our way through all of Miziziziz's catalog. It was an absolute blast giving all these games a try, and I'm so glad I decided to come back and give Endoparasitic another look. I hope you'll be inspired to give this dev some much-deserved attention, and go try out some of their games as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of the love and the support. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and or night. And, we'll see you next time. Bye!